All right, we're live. Welcome to Palmetto Cats Live, where we unpack the anglers of YouTube. And tonight, it is my great privilege to have Pop and Kevin from K&B Anglers on the show tonight. Congratulations, fellas! You just hit 1,000 subscribers. How do you feel?
Feels good.
Feels great.
I'm loving it.
All right, we're
Hold on. All right, go
gonna
for it.
mute you two. All right, you got it all muted.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
Well, good evening, everybody. I see a bunch of names that are recognizing here. We got James Dockery, Ace, D, Avid, Betty King Cross, Michael Murillo. We're gonna scroll down. Brian from Flint Hill Catfishing. Let's see. I think we got K&B Kevin's mom in here. Welcome, Quinnell. Is that how you say it?
That's exactly how you say it.
Quinnell McGill, welcome for the first time. Appreciate you coming. Scotty Hill, what's happening, man? I'm scrolling there, setting hooks. What's up, Redbeard? Fishing with the Chad. Yeah, so we got a lot of Fishing with Big Nasty, Finn Singer TV. Everybody's starting to come in now. Brandon Cross. Man, I can't get to the comments fast enough. Chunky Cats Fishing. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Again, it's my pleasure to have Pops and Kevin from K&B Anglers in here tonight. Guys, I just thank you for coming in. And, we were hoping that by the time you came on the show that we could give you that bump up to get you to 1,000 subscribers. I actually had the video subtitled "The Race to 1,000," but I had to erase it, thankfully, because you guys did it.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome that night. Fishing with the Chad and I were talking back and forth on Messenger as we were watching as both of us were watching the numbers rise. And because Chad kept putting it out there, just kept over and over just putting it out there. Come on, guys, he's got one more to go, or 2 or 3 more to go, or whatever it was. And so after the show, he and I were conversing back and forth on Messenger, and there he is, Chad. And so we were conversing back and forth on Messenger and watching the numbers rise. And he saw it before I did, actually. And he's like, "Oh, cool, congratulations!" Da, 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 da. And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I got it, man!" And it was just what he did over here. And Pop was at the lake property, so he wasn't. His signal's crazy down there where his property is. It's like you have to stand on one leg and rotate your head 360 degrees and hold your phone out at a 45-degree angle to be able to get a signal sometimes. So he didn't catch it until like the next day that we had hit 1,000. And
then he started. Then he started twerking, right?
I'm sure he did.
Those of you who don't know, Pop is affectionately known as the twerking monkey. Pop, tell us how you got that name.
That name has a long story for a short title.
Make it a short story.
3 women gave me that name. Kevin's mom, my wife now, and my daughter-in-law, Kevin's wife. I always cut up and just enjoyed life. From day one, I guess, when I was first born. I always tell people that my real name's Bud. My parents named me that because that's what my real name is, because when my dad took a look at me, first words out of his mouth was, "Well, this will never amount to anything." And a rose that's full bloom and is beautiful is a bud before it ever opens up. Well, if I was never going to bloom, there was no point naming me Rose, so he named me Bud. So that's where the Bud came from. And it seems like that I get all my names from other folks. Actually, Kevin's mom named me the monkey on the boat. Then I twerked actually in our 100 subscriber giveaway.
100,
yeah, our 100 subscriber giveaway, and I didn't know he was filming it. I was just cutting up that night on the boat, and
well, he knew I was filming. He just didn't know that he figured I would edit it
I figured
out.
he's going to edit it out, actually.
And it was just too funny not to.
So I get on the boat, and I'm on my hands and knees, and all you're seeing is my rear end because I just turned the camera on, and I went to wiggling, looked over my right shoulder, and said, "Hey, I'm twerking, y'all." Well, he left that in. And my wife now has always called me her little monkey. And so my daughter-in-law decided that I was the twerking monkey. And there's where all of that came out of. And I've on various live streams of our personal live streams, when we were doing live streams, we actually had times when it was about me twerking and teaching the other people how to twerk. It was crazy.
Cut it out. We don't need none of that. We don't need none of that here.
Actually, when we went to CatCon,
yeah,
when we went to CatCon, I know some of you heard of was it Big Vic's tackle?
The netting. Big Vic's netting.
Big Vic's netting, the bait netting that she sells. She asked about it and insisted that I twerk. So right there in the middle of CatCon, I'm twerking. Had an audience going by
of everybody.
In the middle of everybody. So it kind of got spread everywhere. And even when we all went, a whole group of us went to eat that night, in the lobby area of the restaurant, I ended up teaching a young girl who was the part of our group how to twerk. So I'm known as the twerking monkey.
She insisted.
And she insisted, and her parents insisted. So I did it. I have a lot of fun with it.
He did do, I will say this, he did it clean.
How do you twerk clean? Come on now. How do you twerk clean?
There's a way. I mean,
But, show you.
All right. Let's move on. This is a G-rated show. So Georgia, Lake Sinclair, and they fish Lake Sinclair a lot. But tell us what part of Georgia you're in, and what where you're at in relation to, like, let's say Atlanta, because everybody knows kind of where Atlanta is.
So if you were to take a look at the map, we live in a little small town called Tennille, Georgia, and it's you remember the singing group Captain and Tennille?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's spelled.
I don't remember them. I've heard from them. Heard about
right. It's spelled exactly like Tennille, so a lot of people pronounce it Tennille, but it's actually Tennille. But anyways, it's a little small community. Washington County is our area. Mm-hmm. And if you look on the map, if you put your finger on Atlanta and then put your finger on Savannah and then bring them across the strait until you meet just about dead in the center, then you'll locate where we're located. So we're literally in middle Georgia. We are an hour away from Macon, Georgia, 2.5 hours away from Atlanta, and 2.5 hours away from Savannah.
Okay. So I know Pop, we were talking about before the show, Pop was a military child, and so y'all traveled around a lot. So Pop, I know you hadn't always lived in Georgia, but Kevin, have you always lived in Georgia, and how did y'all get there? Have you lived in Georgia for a long time?
Yeah, I was actually born in Georgia, so I'm a true and bred. What's the old saying?
Born and bred.
Born and bred, yeah, born and bred in Georgia. I'm a born and bred Georgia boy. But now I have lived in other states. I lived in Florida for 2 or 3 years, and then I did a year at Alabama, about 6 years or so ago, I guess it was. That I lived over in Alabama. I've moved around quite a bit in Georgia. I've lived several places in Georgia. I'm a nomad. But I always come back to my roots. We moved here to Tunnel when I was about a year and a half old, roughly, and so I was raised here. This is my hometown. This is people I know, and no matter how much I griped and complained as a young man about wanting to get out of here, wanting to go do my thing, wanting to, spread my wings and do the greatest, how it is whenever you're young.
Sow your royal oats. Sow your royal oats.
That's it. And no matter what I did, I always made it back here. So when we went to Alabama, like I said, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was now, and we come back, at that point, my wife and I had moved. We've been married for 21 years. We literally had moved a little over 12, 13 times in our marriage. If you do the math on that, it's almost twice, once every 2 years. I mean,
wow.
really. And so, from one location, it was like I couldn't plant my feet. And anyways, went to Alabama. We come back, and when we got back, I looked at my wife and I told her, I said, "This will be the last time I ever move." I said, "Unless it's an absolute necessity, this will be the last time I'll ever move." So I put my feet back where I knew, in the land that I know and the people that I know. And I've got to know quite a few great people. You guys, of course, and Richard Warskow, Big Nasty. I mean, all us YouTubers coming together, and the way we have become.
Hey man, you're taking some of my questions now. Roll. I'm the host. You're the guest. Slow your roll.
But,
no, okay. We'll go ahead and go.
I'm planting my feet, so.
I got you. We'll go ahead and go into that. So tell me what the catfish community means to both of you. Pop, you go first.
Catfish community to me is probably the greatest group of guys that I've ever encountered in 73
and
years.
Girls.
What do you say?
And girls.
Oh, and girls. Yeah.
There you
go. We talk about a lot of times we eliminate, or not eliminate, but we kind of forget that the girls are a part of the catfishing community, or fishing community per se, regardless of the species. But women been fishing way back yonder, even back in my day, younger days, because whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of times it was the woman who had to go catch the fish for us to have something on the table to eat. So women have been fishing for a long time. They're just now getting to be recognized as the skillful fishermen that they are. And I'm glad to see that come about. And I've seen in the catfish world that when a catfisherman gets into a predicament, and we've seen it here just recently, that somebody loses a boat or loses all of his fishing gear, the fish community comes together and puts him back on his feet in a path he can overcome that loss. You don't see that very often in other communities, whether it be fishing communities, hunting communities. So to me, we're probably a closer knit fishing community than a lot of the other communities that are out there. And I've grown to appreciate that community. Kevin told me way back when our channel started, he said, "Pop, if you hang with me, I'll make you a star.
I'll make you famous.
I'll make you famous." And I laughed about it. Well, my experience with the catfish community, when I walked into CatCon 2 years ago,
We didn't make this year.
I felt like a star. I was starstruck because I had people that I had watched on YouTube that came up to me, shook my hand, talked to me, called me by name, knew who I was. And I honestly did. I felt like a star. I felt like I was really somebody that really counted and was making a difference in our world out here as it is today.
That's awesome, man. I definitely know who you are. All right, buddy. What about you, KB?
You know, being out, we started this thing 3 years ago, give or take. But before then we were fishing way longer. Just not the way we are now. When we started fishing the way we do now, where we're targeting fish, utilizing CPR, that kind of thing. We never realized we'd be where we are. I mean, I knew, and like Pop said, when I told him, I said, you stay with me, you stick with me with this thing. I said, I'll make you a star, or I'll make you famous. Is how I said it was, and I knew that I would, because the bigger we get, obviously people get to know you. Well, the community is such a tight knit community. The catfish community is such a tight knit community that it was crazy how quick that became. Pop went into CatCon starstruck and walked out of CatCon going, did that just really happen? But the people, it's like I was saying earlier, the people that we have met, such as yourself and Big Nasty and Glenn Shue and and Richard Warskow and Justin, Muldor and Jim Clark, and I could go on and on and on and on and on, and now we got new people in the in our life, such as Betty Jean, and Maurice. Funny story, Maurice. I'm gonna tell it right now because I see he's in the chat. Talking about CatCon, I'll throw this out there right quick.
Excuse me.
We're in CatCon and we have walked that building. I guarantee you walked that building 24 times that particular day. Just round and round, shaking hands every time we turn around with somebody that knew us, or we knew somebody, that we wanted to shake hands with. So we're tired. We're ready to go. We're headed towards the exit. All of a sudden, this guy comes up, makes a beeline. I saw him coming, but I'm thinking, I don't recognize him. I'm thinking, well, he's just going to one of the other, vendors, whatever. Makes at a, point and makes a beeline directly to us. And as he walks up to, gets within 6 foot or so of us, he says, you don't know me, but I know you. And I stopped and kind of smiled, and I said, okay. I said, so who are you? And whatever did, he said, I'm Maurice Casey. And I couldn't, I shook his hand and gave him a hug, and and because we was conversing back and forth, in the chats, the Catfish Weekly and such as that at that time. Right. So yeah, I didn't know who Maurice Casey was, but I do now. I know who Maurice Casey is now, and he had his family, his lovely family with him, and he was already part of our family through YouTube, right. But he became more, he became more of our brotherhood. That particular day became more family that day, for sure. Just that act alone, just coming up and saying those words, I'll never forget it. And I see it in my mind's eye just as if it happened yesterday.
Look who we got in the show tonight. Chris Flores made a stop by. Hey, Chris. We got Patriot James stop by as well. We got Lyle from Catfish Weekly. We got your lovely wife in here. She said hi earlier. Maurice is in here. You were just talking about him. Glenn's Catfish Adventures, Catfish and Crappie. Mark, how you doing, buddy? Just want to make sure I got everybody. Muskrat, Finn. If I missed you, I'm sorry. All right, setting hooks. So, I can't wait. Going back to CatCon, I can't wait till this year coming up, because we're coming no matter what. Unless they cancel it for COVID. I hope not. I hope this whole thing is done by then.
Oh, amen to that.
But man, we were going to come this year, and I'm glad we didn't, because some stuff happened and we needed the money that we spent going there. So God worked out that plan for us.
Kind of the same on our side.
That's right.
Mm.
So I can't wait to get up there, because there's a lot of people that I want to meet. Firsthand. I'm actually going to get to meet. You guys are coming up to the Grand Slam.
Yes.
A couple of other guys like Patriot. I've never actually met Patriot James in person. Excuse me. Whew. We just ate pizza. lovely pizza. So hopefully I'll get to meet a couple YouTubers up there. I was really looking forward to Patriots YouTuber tournament to meet a bunch of guys and ladies. So, I figure over the next year, I'm going to actually get to meet a lot of you guys. And thankfully, I've been lucky enough to fish with you fellas and your son. So you have a son. And do you have any brothers and sisters? Bud, do you have any other children? Go ahead and tell us about your family.
Well, I've got a sister, as far as my immediate family, just me and my sister. Got a lot of cousins that are still living, believe it or not. We come from a longevity of country folks. And I've always been country. I'll always be country. And I was country. I was country before I was Southern, so I'll always be a country Southern person my whole life. And then, of course, you've met Kevin, and I have another son, Jeff. Jeff is.
Uh-oh.
Jeff. Yeah. I couldn't think of the word. I want to say a culinary artist or something. Anyway.
He's that too.
Well, he's that too, because when you look at the plates of food that he puts out, they are a work of art. And so, yeah, I have those two children. Then, of course, I have 4 grandchildren, 1 by Kevin and 3 by Jeff. And all of the grandchildren makes me starting to feel kind of like I'm getting old, but I'm only 73. I mean, I'm not old yet.
That's not old. Not old at all, man.
All of them have graduated except for Kyle, which is Kevin's son, and he graduates this year. So it's kind of like, where did the years go?
That's right.
What happened,
Well, and that brings up my next point. It's like, one thing, I mean, I like everything you guys do, but, I love videos that show family fishing. Speaking of Chris Flores just put one out today, and we watched it. I think it was either today or yesterday. Him and his daughter were fishing together, and because she's about to move away, and, you couldn't help at the end of that video. I don't know how Chris and her got through the end of that video. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but he's like, I love this girl, and she's about to move to Tennessee, which is a far cry from New Mexico.
You're close to us.
I'm like, man, how is he getting through this without crying? I guess he's just a bigger man than I am. That's what I love about your channel, is you get to fish, with your son Pop, and Kevin, you get to fish with your dad. And I can't really pick a favorite, but I got 2 favorite fishing partners, my dad and my wife. And my dad and I go more often than any other person that I fish with, and I cherish every moment that I get to fish with them. So, I kind of live vicariously through you guys, because I do the same thing with my dad. So, tell me like what that means to you, fishing with each other, and how has that brought you closer together? Have you always been real close, or did the YouTube channel bring you closer together? Does fishing have a big part of how close you guys are?
I got this one. So yeah, we've always been close. What you see is what we've always been. For 5 years I was the only child. I got spoiled.
So Jeff is the younger one.
How's that?
Jeff is the younger child.
Jeff is 5 years younger than I am. That's right. But yeah, so when growing up, I was pretty much I stuck to Pop like glue a lot of times when I could, of course. And then as I got on into my teenage years, um, or started getting into my teenage years and everything, and I'd work the summers with him. A lot of my friends are out there and they're having fun playing ball, and they're doing this, that, all the good summer stuff that kids like to do.
Right.
And I'm out there, sweating, my butt off, because it was riding up and down the road in a, yeah, right, riding up and down the road in an unair conditioned step van, delivering goods was not the most becoming of jobs, but it was something we did, and it was always cutting up. We He taught me how to play pool. Pop was a heck of a pool, is a heck of a pool player, I should say. And he taught me how to play pool. I was able to observe him shark people and learn from it.
Wait a minute. Pop is a hustler?
Pop was a hustler. Yes, sir.
Lord.
But he was more of a Robin Hood type hustler. A couple of stories come to mind, and I'll make it real sweet and short. A couple of stories that come to mind, or this particular story that come to mind. We were at one of the places that we visited, and they had a pool table, and a lot of times we'd make that our last stop so we could play pool. And so Pop was already well known in there by a lot of the patrons that was there when he'd come in. Well, this old boy rolls in. He's got his little fancy pool case, 2-piece, 3-piece, pool stick, whatever. Comes in, lays a stick up on the table, brings it out, puts it all together, and makes some sort of a statement to the effect that he's got $100 for anybody who can beat him, blah 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 blah. Well, there was a couple of little old boys in there, and I say boys, they were teenagers, a little older, older than me, but still, they jumped on the table, and they were good. Don't get me wrong, these kids were good, but they jumped on the table, and you could plainly see this dude's hustling them crazy. Pop ain't said a word. So whenever they took the old boy takes their money, and he turns around with a little smug, look on his face, and he's like, "Is there nobody that can beat me in this house?" or something to that effect. Pop stepped up, and I swear if he'd had a fedora cowboy hat and a cloak, he would have said, "I'll be your Huckleberry. I promise you this," because that was the stance he took. And he plainly looked at this guy, and he tells him, he says, "I tell you what, you pick any stick in this house. Doesn't have to be a pool stick, and I'll wipe the floor with you." So the guy, being a smart tail that he is, picks out a broom, a literal broom. Pop walked the floor with his butt and took him and his pool stick before the night was over.
That's awesome, Pop.
So yeah, Pop's a heck of a pool player. I learned a lot from Pop. But yeah, we were always close. We rode together. Even after he moved, he and Mom split and he moved off. We always stayed in contact with each other. I tried to go and visit as much as I could. Got married to my first wife. Once you have a family of your own, it's kind of hard sometimes if you're not, especially if you're a long ways. But we always try to stay in contact with each other. And then when Pop moved back to Washington County, and that's a whole nother story by itself. But anyways, when he come back to Washington County, I decided, we used to fish whenever I was little, and I was in the market for a boat. I felt like that was something that he and I could do, on my off days. He was retired. He wasn't doing anything. Well,
I work harder now retired than I did whenever I was working.
That's what I hear. Retirement's harder work than actually working.
But so I bought the boat, and we started we started fishing together, and then of course YouTube come about, and like I said, what you guys literally see on film is who we are. I mean, we're not actors on screen. We might cut the fool, but we cut the same kind of fool when the camera's not on as well.
Right.
There's some things that we cut the fool about camera don't need to pick up to begin with. But that's just us. I mean, that's just how we, how we are. So yeah, in that roundabout, that long story I just told, the answer to that question, we have always been close, not just father and son, but like best friends.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Pop, you told me that, and I'm just going to summarize for you. Tell me if I'm wrong. You worked, I'm sorry. My mind just went blank. What did you do for a living before you retired, Pop?
I was in construction mostly.
Right. Construction. Yeah. Okay.
I had my own roofing company, and remodel company up in Atlanta. And I, was sitting on a $50,000 job when Hugo tore Florida up. And to make a long story short, it was supposed to have been a 30-day job with a 90-day turnaround on my money because it was a commercial job. Well, Hugo tore Florida up. Building material went triple because Georgia sent all of our material to Florida to rebuild Florida. And instead of it being a 30-day job with a 90-day turnaround on my money, it turned out to be a 90-day job because couldn't get the material. I was locked in on a contract, couldn't increase my prices. Thankfully, I walked out of that job with $200 in my pocket after everything was paid for 90 days worth of work. That was when I decided it was time to look for a different avenue for an income.
And you went for, yeah, you told me about that. You worked for Cracker Barrel for a long time as a server and training other servers, right? And you said you actually moved up the corporate ladder and then actually came back to your roots as a server where you started. That's awesome, man. And you started more money serving, right?
I actually started in restaurant business with Huddle House. I started washing dishes. That's where I actually started in restaurant business, was as a dishwasher. And then of course things progressed from there through the years. Then I went from Huddle House to IHOP, and then finally through the different processes. That's why when we were talking, I asked you at what point did you want me to start with where I had worked. And then the last 7 years is when I worked with Cracker Barrel as a server, and then of course training servers. In fact, if you ever go to Cracker Barrel and you see those servers in there with those burgundy aprons, those are trainers. That's what the brown aprons are your servers.
Right.
Your burgundy aprons are your trainers. The stars on those aprons indicates the level of education in the field of serving that they have received through Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel is very strenuous on their training program.
I bet you none of y'all in chat knew that. Pop just schooled everybody. So yeah, my in chat they're trying to run the show for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to get to some of these questions. So tell us about shoot, I don't want to even ask that right now. So 1,000 subs. What's on the agenda now? Are you going to monetize? Are you going to beef up the content? Is anything going to change? What does it mean for the next level of K&B anglers? And leave Pop's channel out of that. We're going to talk about that soon. But what's next for K&B?
So what I've been looking at, after, I don't want to say we're going to do drastic things and we're going to do that. We're going to do the same thing more or less that we've always done. We're going to go out, we're going to fish, we're going to have fun. We're going to try and travel, a little bit more as we can. I work, so my traveling is very limited a lot of times. And But I do love to travel. As you well know, I'll go down to Santee. I'll go up to Wiley. I do have plans for us to go to Lake Murray and what's the other one up there next to Murray?
Monticello.
Monticello, yeah, Monticello. Wheeler. Don't want to go to Wheeler, do some fishing there, Gunnersville. Basically, the surrounding states. I would love to go fish some of those waters. So yeah, that's what's up and coming. The more we can travel, the more I want to do a little bit more collaboration with more YouTubers, as we can get to them. Because
we had fun, man. We had fun when we went out.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, we love what we do. That's the thing. We love what we do. There was a time where you're talking about the monetization aspect of the channel. I went thinking one thing coming into YouTube. They changed the rules. Just as we come into YouTube, they changed the rules. You now had to have that 1,000 subscribers. You now had to have 4,000 hours of viewing time. I'm nowhere close to that. So I'm actually putting that monetization aspect of the YouTube world on the back burner now. Because what happened was I focused so much that first year on trying to get that 1,000 subscribers, that 4,000 viewing, and it drove me nuts to the point where I could not concentrate on what I was doing. I was no longer having fun. There was a big joke, about Pop catching more fish than I would, and he would. And we couldn't figure out what was going on until one day Pop and I were sitting on the boat, and he says, I think I understand what's going on with you. And I said, okay, well, please enlighten me. And he says, ever since we started this thing, and you've been trying to boost your subs and your viewing hours and such as that, he says, you haven't had your mind in the game. He says, before we started this whole thing, it was nothing for you and I to come out here. You'd pull a fish, I'd pull a fish. You'd pull a fish, I'd pull a fish. Some days you might pull a few fish more than I do. Other days I might pull a few fish, than you do. But on a general note, we fish evenly across the board when we come out to fish. Then we started this. And then I got overtaken by the YouTube bug. I wanted to, I wanted to do what was necessary to be monetized, when it wasn't necessary. That was the thing about it. I work. This would just be extra money if I did get monetized. And once I put that behind me and said, to heck with it, I mean, it got to a point where I was about to shut the whole channel and everything down. It was this light not to have happened. Serious business. What we're doing tonight, the lighting to never happen, because I almost shut the channel down because I was no longer having fun. And I had made a statement to my pop when we started this thing. If I ever felt like I was not having fun, I would stop doing it. And that's just the way I live my life. I like to have fun. I like to cut up. I like to, joke around, but at the same time, if something interferes with that I'm in the middle of doing, I will stop doing it just to keep not, from being down.
Right. Yeah. So, my wife had helped me with that too, and hadn't been doing it as long as you guys. But right there out the gate, I felt like I was doing the right thing, and I started to get stressed about it because I too have a full-time job, and she said, well, if you're not having fun, then just don't do it. And I was like, oh, you're right. So I did. I stopped for a while. Some of that was because of the anxiety, and then some of it was because my boat sucked. but both of them. So, now we're back in the game and we're trying to do it. And I actually have fun making content, whether it's fishing, doing this, or quick tips or whatever. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's got to be fun. And I'm glad you're taking that attitude. Y'all in chat, if you, and I'm not saying try to cheat the system. But if so I'll give you an example. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering my words. Michael Murillo is a big supporter of everybody in here. He's always trying to help people out. And the other day he texted me and he said, Kevin, I've been binge watching your channel just to watch all your videos and help you get watch hours. He wasn't just trying to help me get watch hours, but he wanted to watch the show. He wanted to watch. So y'all, it's one thing to come on here and chat and have a good time and get to know these guys, but also go actually watch the channel and go back to the earlier videos and see where they've been and where they are now, because I know if you watch my channel, my first video was absolutely terrible in my mind. And so to come now, you can see a difference, and it's fun to watch people like Kay and Kevin and Pop go from, just starting out to now, where they're actually, professionals, at what they do. They know how to go out and they know how to find catfish and they catch them. And to me, that's a professional angler, because you know how to do it. How many people do you know? I know a lot of people that can go out and throw a rod in the water 5 out of 7 days of the week and won't catch anything. You got to know what you're doing, and you guys do, and they have a lot of info to give people. So y'all go watch their channel. Don't just sub to help them out. Go watch your channel, and if you're into YouTube, and I'm getting long-winded, but I'm following my guests. You learn a lot, and you guys can help me out with that. Like, you watch other YouTubers and you watch their angles and the stuff they talk about and their tone and their inflection and how they describe where they're at, and you learn and put that in your videos. Am I right?
You're right. Yeah. One of the things in starting out that Pop and I both, let me backtrack just a second about the channel and how we actually started. Started it on the channel with basically just wanting to maybe go out there and film and just show what we did. Just have it for entertainment purposes only. And so we stated, before doing all this, both Pop and I got into YouTube watching it. I had to teach Pop how to look at YouTube. And but we got into watching other people's, not live streams, but videos, and how they did things. I was actually headed in a different direction before I got into catfishing. I was actually headed in the direction of bass fishing, because I love to bass fish, and I started in that direction, and then we caught some pretty nice cats along the way. Nothing huge, but some nice cats than what we had ever caught. And then we started studying up on that, and of course all the big boys, Steve Douglas and I can't think of his name, from Chat Cats, and all those guys were looking at Joe, and watching Joe, and then from that point, just watching everybody else's that from the chats. I mean, not the chats, but the comments. Going to their channel, seeing what they were doing, how they were doing it, what bait are they using, what rigs are they using, what rods and reels are they using. Everything that a novice would do, somebody who just goes through and just to see how they can get in the game. We did that. Everybody does that. You just don't jump on YouTube and start making videos, throwing it out there because you know what you're doing. You study up on it. If you don't, you'll find out real quick, like you don't know what you're doing, you won't get followers.
There's two sides to that, not to interrupt you, but there's the Luke's from Catfish and Carp, like Chris just said. And, Chris just inspired me with this thought, but there's the Luke's who, they try everything, right? How many rods does Luke have? Right. How many boats does he have? And he does that because the channel's grown and people are starving for content from him. So he's got to do something. And I absolutely love his show. And then, you got an OG, like an original gangster like Chris Flores, who's been doing it forever.
Exactly. And Chris was one of the first ones we watched.
Yeah, I mean, him and Steve Douglas, and even Steve has a lot of toys at his disposal, and I just like how you can have those people that you can learn about gear and different techniques from and all that, and then you see someone like Chris who's just humble and goes out there with a rod and reel in a small boat with his daughter or his son and his wife and catches fish and keeps it simple. And so you balance those two, you Chris shows you that anyone can go out there. You don't have to have the big expensive toys, even though it does have those nice muddy river rods and those big,
Yes, it does.
you don't have
Speaking
to
of which, I'm going
go out
to.
there and you can slam big flathead catfish and blues. Oh my gosh, catfish and carp is in my YouTube channel, y'all. Holy
What's up?
oh man, I got
So
two
let me
in here.
let me throw this out right quick since Chris is in the chat. So last night we were, and of course Betty Jean asked this question earlier, but I'm gonna make it a very short story. I know that's weird for me, but anyways, so last night we're out we're out on a little small lake that's not too far from the house. Matter of fact, we had planned on being on that lake tonight while we were going live with you, but that just wasn't in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
But we were out there last night, and they have carp, the common grass carp.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful fish, and they're fairly good size. I've caught an 11 and a 15 out of that particular lake. 15 about 3 weeks ago or so. But Papa never caught one, so I wanted to go out and just target them. Blue cats are, well, right now our main lake, which is Sinclair that we fish, is just overridden with pleasure boaters. There's no way I'm going out there and trying to fight that mess.
Yeah.
And so
you told me you were going out. I was like, you're a brave man.
Well, the beautiful thing, I was going to say, the beautiful thing about this particular lake, it's a very small lake. You can only run at idle speed on that lake. It's a small lake. So you don't get the pleasure boaters and the sea-doos and all that craziness that you see at the bigger lakes like Sinclair and Oconee and, Santee and all that. So yeah, that was why I went out there. And besides, I knew they had carp. I caught carp out there. And so we went out and decided we were going to target carp. I had so much fun catching the 15-pounder. I wanted to do, obviously do it again, but I wanted Pop, because Pop had never caught a carp before, and I wanted Pop to enjoy it and get the get the thrill of it. Well, nonetheless, we're out there, and I've got 4 rods. We can only run 4 rods in this particular lake. I've got Pop's 2 ugly sticks that he uses in general, and then I've got my blue cat rod and my flathead rod from the river catfishing out and sitting up, baited up, ready to go. Well, we waited and we waited and we waited and we waited some more. Well, I was just about getting ready to go. It was getting a little late. It was right at midnight. And about that time, the flathead rod literally jumped up and sat back down in the rod holder. And I jumped up to grab it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I jumped up to grab it, it stopped, and I started paying attention to the line, doing all the things that we know to do. When we're out there and have that little slack, is he coming to me, or is what's going on? Did he spit it? What happened? So I'm watching the line. All of a sudden, the line just starts going, as quick as it can across the lake. And I looked over at Pop and I said, "You want him?" And Pop said, "Yeah, I'll take him." I said, "Jump on it, boy." Let's just put it this way: we put that flathead rod to the test last night.
That was a big one, man.
Yes, sir. That to be 11 pounds, Pop's like, I have caught 17 pounds. I have caught 25 pounds. I've caught some big fish. I've caught on a norm 11, 12, 13 pound cats. And this fish fought harder than anything I've caught yet.
Yeah, Luke said you catch one carp, you catch another. Next thing you know, you're stealing your mama's meds to trade up for important.
I know, no doubt. But yeah, that rod. I mean, when I tell you that rod doubled, I mean that rod 3 times doubled and never once cracked, creaked, groaned. Pop grown. He was more like, whoa.
Hey, listen. So when one of the other reason I want to get to the Catfish Conference is not only are those rods great, haven't heard anything bad about them, but man, those black rods are gonna look slick with my boat. I just need to find me some green reels to go on them.
Oh yeah.
So
Those rods.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say those rods, the Blue Cat and the I bought the Blue Cat first. Yeah, I bought the Blue Cat first. Because it was the big thing. Everybody was, screaming about them. I like the color blue, obviously. And I just thought the rod was I know exactly. And I thought the rod was an awesome looking rod. And I got it. And I actually caught my PB. I don't know, we said we weren't going to do all this, but I'm just going to put it out there. My PB is 31 on Blue Cat right now. And it was caught on the Blue Cat rod. And it handled it.
Lake, right?
How's that?
It was in my home lake, right?
It was on the Santee Cooper during Monster Quest catfish tournament in March of last year. And
that's rescheduled for September.
I'm sorry?
That's been rescheduled for this September.
It is. Unfortunately, we're not going to make that particular because we're going to do, we're going to the Grand Slam, and then I can't take and turn right around and go to that one, and then I'll be going over to what's the one of the Catfish Showdown, SmackDown, I think it's called.
Slam.
We're going to Grand Slam before, and then we're going to the Southeastern Showdown is what it's called.
Okay.
In October. So I can't afford to take the time to make Monster Quest again this year. Although I did have the money there. That's how you and I got the fish. That was what I was originally supposed to be going down there for.
Yeah, Corona hooked us up.
Hooked us up real good. But yeah, now, like I said, I've had a chance to use both of them. I've caught some decent fish with both of them, and I've never had a day's trouble out of either one of them. And I absolutely
I remember fishing on your boat, and I picked up that Blue Cat rod, and I just like how hefty it is. It's got a nice thick butt to it.
That's right.
But
That's right.
I love the metal reel seats too, and although I love my ugly sticks, don't get me wrong, they're affordable. They're really strong. They'll catch anything in my lake or anybody's lake for that matter. But they don't have those metal reel seats, and I'm always having to tighten them all the time. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on. And when I buy them, I'm going to buy 6 or 8 of them. So be ready for me, Chris. When I get up to CatCon next year, I need 8 flathead rods set aside just for me to purchase. I'm saving now.
Until it was figured out that we weren't going to be able to make CatCon this year, I had actually set some money aside to buy another blue and another flat. That way I'd have 4, 4 of the rods, it's 2 and 2, 4 of the rods total of his. And because I just love fishing them. Now I won a BCF rod on Catfish Weekly, and I received that BCF rod, the Big Cat Fever rod, and I like it as well. It's got the same type seats. It handles well. I love the action. I'm kind of like this. I'm one of them that I'm one of them that is, you fish with what you're comfortable with, that's what we preach. I love, I love them all. I mean, there's not, if you don't see me fishing with it, that means that I don't like it. I may have tried it either on somebody else's boat or my own or whatever the case may be. I've got rods out there right now that I put aside because I don't like the way the action are. I mean, there's nothing wrong really with the rod. I just don't like them. Yeah. But now Chris's rods, the BCFs and all those, those are really quality rods.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go. I've never really fished with any of them, to be honest with you. I've held a Big Cat Fever rod, and I've held your Blue Cat rod. But the rods they're making nowadays, man, are just awesome. Awesome. I don't really think you can go wrong with any of them. I think they can all handle fish heavier than any of us will probably ever catch in our lives. But this has got me excited. Chris said he's working on a new model.
I see that.
And the crowd said,
turn out.
"Ooh." I'd like a green one, Chris. A green one would be cool. And
No,
then
black or blue and green would even be better. That's my
there
color.
you go. Abu makes a cart master version of the Ambassador that you can find in a couple shades of green. Looks sick with the Muddy River flathead rods of Big Cat Fever slime line spooled on. There we go.
There we go.
All right, now I just need to raise the money to get them, and we'll be good to go. Cool. Well, yeah, and if you guys, thanks to Chad and whoever else has posted links to Chris's rods. I try to promote people. I'm not sponsored by anybody, by the way, not a single person on the earth. So, and I don't have a Chris Flores rod, and I'm not asking for one, but I'm saying that knowing what I know about Chris, he's just an awesome guy, a good family man, a hard-working man. And so if you're trying to pick a rod, and like Kevin said, all these rods are going to do the same thing. I mean, they're all great rods. I'm not slamming anybody's company because I don't know.
Right.
But if you want to support someone that I know is a good guy and just an all-around good person, go support Chris. His rods are reasonably priced, and he'll get them out to you. And he supports other people. Obviously, he's in little old Palmetto Cats YouTube stream, I man, just to have him and Lyle and Luke and all you guys in here, Michael Murillo and Chad, all you guys in here, man, it makes my heart swell up and my face is turning red because, it's just awesome to see the support. And that's why I asked you the question about the catfish community, what it meant to you. And I haven't met hardly any of these guys ever. I just been watching the channel, and you learn a lot by watching their videos back to back. One who's easy to binge watch because my Apple TV suggests Luke's videos to me all the time, both his channels. And so I can leave and go to church like I did this morning, and YouTube's just playing, and then I'll come back and it'll have played like 17 cats and carp and outdoor boy videos just because YouTube, suggests it. So anyway, if you want to support someone who, who's just an all around good guy, and Kevin and Pop just to, confirm that with me, go support Chris.
Okay.
So what is this about you falling out of a boat, man? I keep hearing the story about, did you hear about when Kevin fell out of a boat?
Well,
said Apple TV sounds like an amazing device. Yeah. So tell me about this falling out of a boat, dude.
Well, so it was last year, and it was actually at Patriots, tournament,
tournament. Mm-hmm.
tournament, and so I had my original boat before getting the boat that I have now was a little bass tracker, and I was planning. We'd already planned on a couple of other guys, Kentucky Catman, Outdoors Fishing, that's his channel, that's Jim Clark, and Catfish Bill 66, Bill Hassack, was to fish with us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I knew that they would not, all of us would not fit on my little boat.
No,
even though it's an 18-footer, it was not going to happen. So I borrowed a boat from my friend, my best friend. In fact, we grew up together, William, and it was a 22-foot center console, or 21-foot center console. Anyways, it's a pretty hefty boat. First time ever driving something that big, or getting up and down out of it for that matter.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
say. So we had been out on the water. It was the day before. It was actually the day before the tournament, and we'd been out on the water trying to catch bait and just kind of checking out the areas and that kind of thing. Doing a little pre-fishing if we, as much as we possibly could, getting pointers from all the different people who fish Lake Wiley, and we come back in, and I park the boat, and of course I don't like leaving anything on the boat when I'm out of town that can be just easily pulled out and, made its way to somebody else. So I climb up into the boat and I take all the rods out and I secure everything, I lock it up and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Starting, coming off the boat. And I got 1 foot over and we're all talking amongst ourselves. And I literally bring my foot over, and as I step down, my foot catches just like this, and it was wet. And when my foot caught, all that weight was right here. It slips. I had nowhere to go. I couldn't grab for the boat. I was already on my way down, and I literally hit the pavement from about 4 foot up in the air.
Oh, only 4 foot?
It was only 4 foot, but I'm a big person. I mean, 4 foot's like 8 foot to a normal person.
I'll be 15, right?
So, I mean, I hit the ground and I had a bruise in a certain area that we won't name for going on about a month. That's how hard I hit. Well, all the boys that was there saw this happen. And we know what happens when that happens.
Oh, yeah, you can't live it down.
Oh, I'll never live it down, ever. If you ever meet Jim Clark in person, and we're all just sitting around just, shooting the bull and, just having a good time and whatnot, he will tell that story. I promise you. We'll start it out anyways. But he and Justin's Fishing Fetish was standing there. Peel and Drag was standing there. Urban the Paid Tourist was standing there. All of them had eyes on me, and they all said the same thing. They said that 1 minute Kev's there, and the next he Houdini'd.
Man. Yeah, and unfortunately that you love your community, but your community loves you enough to know that they can pick on you.
Exactly. That's how the community loves you.
I guess so.
Nothing wrong with a little clean fun. So, as long as it's delicious, it's always good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what's your favorite YouTube channel right now?
Yours?
Oh.
Believe it or not, I've been getting a lot of.
Hang on one second, because this goes with your last story. Luke said we need a catfishing brand medical alert bracelet. Help!
There you go. But I lost my train of thought on that one.
You're going to have to remake the shirt of Sonny falling out the boat and replace it with Kevin. Oh man. Favorite
I forgot what the question was.
Favorite YouTube channel besides Palmetto Cats?
Oh, that's right. That's what the favorite. Now Pop watches a lot of different. He has the time to do it. A lot of different people. I don't know who his favorite is. Me personally. Yeah. Me personally. I don't actually have a favorite. They're all good channels. You learn a lot from them all.
Like a true dad.
I mean, yeah, like a true dad. That's right. No, I mean, I don't. A lot of the channels that I do watch, when I get a chance to watch, like I said, I'm always working. So, or I'm trying to get, a fishing trip into play, or I'm editing a video, or I'm doing this, that, life. It's hard for me to actually watch videos a lot of times, but when I do, I tend to steer more towards those smaller channels because I know where I come from, and we discussed that earlier. And I have a lot of great channels that have subscribed to me, and I've subscribed back to them that are up and coming, and I foresee a lot of good things from these channels. So I try to support the smaller channels as much as I possibly can.
Who knew Luke was so
No doubt.
and see, Luke can talk trash, but he's got the dad answer too,
Oh yeah.
with 3 young ones. What about you? Are you gonna give us a definite answer?
I don't have there
Oh.
again, I'm not giving, I don't have a particular one that I would say I like better than. I do have some that I watch more than I do others.
Mm. So tell who's that? Who do you find yourself? So here's another. I got you. Here's another form of the question. Who do you find yourself like you can't wait till the next video comes out?
KB Anglers.
All right, you guys, it's been a great show. We're gonna here. I'll break the ice. I got a top 3, and 2 of them are in here tonight. Like as soon as Chris Flores' video dropped with his daughter today, I watched it, and then he tried to make us cry at the end, like we talked about earlier. You know, Luke's channels, I love watching him and the boys. You know, I'm not a father yet, but you know, I would want to be a father like Luke and you, Pop, you know, and my dad, you know, always trying to do stuff with my kids. And then Kayak Catfish, you know, that man, he's always bending rods, and I don't know how he stays in that kayak when he does it. But those channels, like as soon as they pop up, like I want to go watch them. I don't want to wait. You know, like there's some channels that you know that I really like a lot. Like you know, I like your guys' channel, but those 3 channels are ones that I don't know what it is. Like it draws me in. So do you have any channels like that just you can't wait to click the play button on? Besides Palmetto Cats.
Now let me answer that one right quick, Pop. I will say this, since you put the question that way, yeah, there are several out there that are like that. You know, as soon as I see that they drop that video, I click on it. Yours is one of them, and I'm being dead serious. Anytime I see you drop one, you know, I will go over and watch it. Justin Fishing Fetish. I don't get in his live streams when he's on there, but when he drops a little small video, you know, I mean, I'm all over it. You know, a lot of guys that
late. He's always up late. He's a night owl.
Yes, we all are actually. We actually converse daily on on different subjects, and there's a bunch of us that do that. And so yeah, sometimes we're up till like 12, 1 o'clock. Sometimes I get up rather tired in the mornings, but but you know, and I'm gonna take Pop off the chopping board for a minute, because I can say this. There's a lot of, and this is going back to what we were talking about earlier with his other channel. There are a lot of shows that he watches that we all don't know about because of the type channels that they are. But he does watch everybody. I will tell that. And that's not a bad thing. That's a straight up, he enjoys everybody from Chris Flores to you to Patriot Catfishers to whomever. He sees it drops, and especially if it's somebody that he's met and knows from either CatCon or in person, he will definitely drop just as soon as he can into that video and watch it. And he always makes the point to make a comment. And that's one of the things too. That's another piece of advice that I like to give everybody, since we're on that particular subject. If you're going to watch a video, make a comment. If it's nothing more than great job, make a comment. Don't make it monotonous every time, but make a comment, because that gives us, I still consider myself a small time YouTuber. That gives us opportunity to know it's not just a number somebody popped in. Somebody literally sat there and watched this video and has told me, I love your video, or I love this part of your video, and so always make that comment. And that's one of the things that Pop and I try to do when we watch videos. We try to make those comments, and Pop is is very well versed in doing that.
Well, Pop, you haven't made a comment on my channel in a while. I'm just
kidding. Usually when I make a comment, and this goes back to what Kevin was saying, my format, if you want to call it that, for making a comment on a YouTube channel is I want you to know that I watched your video, not the fact that I saw 1 minute of it and said, great job.
Right.
So when I make a comment, as a general rule, I will point out particulars throughout that comment, throughout that video that happened, and to the end. So that now once you see that comment, there's no doubt in your mind that I have watched your video from start to finish.
It's funny that you say that, like being small time YouTubers like we are, and me especially, like you can tell when someone hasn't watched your video. Because I had someone say, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I mean, it's true. They watched made a comment on a video and said, great live stream. And it wasn't a live stream. Like, well, thanks for the 30-second or the 3-second watch time, but no, I get what you're saying. And people really appreciate that. They really do. And I don't want to leave Chunky Cats out. Chunky Cats is pretty much everybody's favorite live streamer. I mean, how many of us has Elston Perez kept up past midnight watching him fishing?
Oh, yeah.
And we all have full-time jobs the next day.
Yes. Waiting for that rod to touch his finger.
That's right. #touch my finger. And he's been getting talking about, we've talked a lot about the catfish community tonight, and he's really got a lot of love here recently. And I know he really does love everyone that supports him. And that's what I love. I mean, if even people with 100,000 and 700,000 subs can take a few minutes to come in here, like Chris and Luke, and last time Justin Johnston came in and said, hey, I mean, that's an awesome community. I mean, who else would do that? You don't see and I'm not going to mention any names because I don't really have a problem with them. I expect them not to show up. I expect people with 1,050,000 subs not to come into a small live stream like this. But for them to do that, and then for my people in here that come in week after week after week and come in and support every week, like Chunky says, I love all of you. And I know KB and Pop love all of you too, because y'all got them to 1,000. And next is 2,000 and 3,000 and 5,000. And next thing you know, Kevin, you're not going to have to worry about work because you're going to be able to quit and do YouTube full time.
Nice dream, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. So,
well, anything is possible with the Lord, right?
Amen. No doubt.
So, we're past our hour mark, and I'm fine with doing that because we're having a great conversation. But I do want to ask you one last question to kind of end the show. You seem to have a lot of support from your family, and family is very important to me. Family, drives me. Family and my faith drive me to do everything that I do. So tell me about the support from your wives and your brother Kevin and your son, and tell me how that all plays into what you do.
Well, as you say, we get the support of the family. In starting this thing, of course, my wife has always supported me in everything that I've done. We've moved 12 times in our marriage. Think about that for a minute. Mm-hmm. So she's always been supportive of me, no matter what I was doing. She encourages me. She'll ask questions. Just like the other night, whenever she was actually at work, whenever I hit that 1,000 mark. And when she come home, I held up I pulled it up on my phone, I hold it up to her, and I don't even say a word, I just hold it up to her and and look, and she's like, oh my God, oh, she gets all excited and everything, and it's real. It's not, her putting on. That's just the type of relationship that we have. My mom, gives great support. Matter of fact, she just recently come on to, and I had to we had to teach her how to do it. as far as on the YouTube to literally support the channel. She's like, I want to support it. I want to be, what do I need to do to make that happen? So, you know, she does that. She, you know, she asks about, you know, when we do go out fishing, well, what did y'all catch? You know, sometimes she will do that while we're on the water. And I'm like, we caught fish. Can you let me get back to it? You know,
hey, listen, man. Listen, you got to go to sleep sometime tonight. You got to go to sleep sometime tonight. Be careful.
But you know, she does. She thinks sometimes we take things a little bit overboard, and we do. I'm not gonna lie about it. But she's also that person that puts us in our place if we need it. You know, grounds us. That's the word I'm looking for. She'll ground us, and not ground us as in put us in the corner and timeout. Ground us as in, you know, she grounds us to earth. So you know, we get a lot of great support there. You know, my son thinks it's great. I mean, he was watching YouTube before I even thought about YouTube. Of course, his thing was at the time was watching gamers. You know, exactly. And so whenever I decided to go into YouTube and I started doing my thing, and you know, he was one of the first ones to come in and and subscribe to the channel and all. You know, he's wanted to come with me on a couple occasions. He hates to night fish. He does not like it whenever we stay out there 12 hours, and there's times out there that we'll sun up, sun down, and then on into the night. You know, we'll fish, especially if they're biting. He doesn't like that. He doesn't. He's a teenager. He's your typical teenager. You know, he's got things he wants to go do and things he wants to say and play and everything else.
Attention span.
That's it. You know, I mean, you got to see that on a smaller scale firsthand. You know, the time that you spent with him, he was gung ho because he knew, having seen me pull big fish from there, you know, having seen Pop almost pull a big fish from there, or some decent fish from there, even there in that time frame, he knew that there was big fish there. And I told him, I said, dude, I said, look, I said, you could beat your PB. His PB before we went down there was 5 pounds. And he thought that was big. He reeled that 25 in, you know, out there when we were fishing. That he still talks about that, by the way, and he still wears your shirt every time he gets a chance. I think he's like Febrezing it ever so often and throw it back on. That's what I'm thinking is happening. But nonetheless, he you know, he's a great supporter. Our not just, you know, it's not just our immediate family, you know. Yeah, well, mom's rounding me over here. So yeah, I mean, my brother, you know, he's got his own thing that he's always doing. I mean, he's, like I said, he's a chef. He's got 3 kids that 2 of them in college, one of them about to go to college. And you know, so he's got his own thing. So he doesn't get to watch everything as much as he would like to, as far as the channel's concerned. But I post on Facebook as well. So he sees that, he makes comments about, wow, that was big, blah, 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 what happened there, blah, blah, blah. And so he's giving us a support and all. My nephews, I mean, we were sitting here with Father's Day, I think it was, Father's Day, talking about the channel, you know, and everything. And you know, they've watched some of the videos and they're like, yeah, we'll go fishing with you. You know, and these are true, I hate to say millennials, but they're the ones that are of this era. And but nonetheless, they, you know, they're interested in going out there, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take you. You know, I'm all about trying to take, you know, a kid, no matter how old the kid is, you know, fishing. And so, and of course, Dana, you know, Dana.
When you take me fishing,
exactly.
It doesn't matter how old the kid is.
Exactly.
Amen, Pop.
So you know, and Dana, my camera's about to fall out on us. Oh, what'd you do? All right, technical difficulties. So yeah. Anyway, so
you're good.
Yeah, that's close enough. All right, so yeah, so Dana is, you know, she's a great supporter for us. You know, she likes to go out with us, you know, when she can, and which I know she doesn't go out as often as she would like, but she's
every time we went.
Exactly, you know, and but she, you know, she supports us greatly. You know, it's not just a team; it's a family affair. Let's put it that way. You know.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I couldn't do it without the support from my wife. Usually she's on here commenting And you know, my dad, we just recently, you know, it was funny that you mentioned that. Like my dad, when we go fishing together, you know, we just got the new pontoon, so I'm fishing with more rods. I just got planer boards and using those for the first time, camera gear. And he goes, "Boy, you just got too much going on." But then when YouTube comes out and he's on there, he sits back and watches it like, he likes seeing stuff on YouTube, and he may be watching, but that's awesome. Yeah, support is key. One last thing, and we're going to call it a night. Pop, tell us about your new cooking YouTube channel. Give us the short 1 minute synopsis of what people have come to look forward to.
Is that a thing for real?
It is. It's going to be a thing.
New YouTube channel coming out is Country Cooking with Twerking Monkey. The purpose of the channel is to take a look back into yesteryear of what cooking was really like, country cooking was all about. Back during the time of the cat head biscuits, back how we didn't waste food like we do today. Food had a purpose or a repurposing, regardless of whether you saw it on the table this morning. If you didn't eat it all, you could see it at lunch. You could see it again at supper, and in the form that it was not at breakfast.
Yep.
So I want to take this channel and walk memory lane with it, so to speak. Go back to my roots and come forward to the field of cooking and cook those old country dishes. One that I've thrown out there that a lot of people have said they want to see is the cat head biscuit. When I mention cat head biscuits, it's amazing how so many people don't know what a true country cat head biscuit really is. And no, it's not a biscuit shaped like a cat head. So I'm going to be taking those type of things and bringing them to life to share my history that is lost to our young people.
Mm-hmm.
Our young
That's
generation
awesome.
really doesn't know where the food they're eating today came from.
Mm-hmm.
I saw what. Yeah,
and when they do figure it out, they become vegans. When they do figure out where the food comes from, they become vegans.
I saw what I thought at first was the craziest comment I ever seen, and it was regarding people who hunt. And the statement was made, why do you have to go out there and hunt? Why don't you just go to the grocery store and buy your meat where no animal was hurt? And I thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. But that being as crazy as it was, that's what triggered me, because I love to cook anyway. I always have. My grandmother taught me to cook, and my mama, and I've enjoyed it. But that triggered a thought to me, and I said, these people really don't know where the food they're eating is coming from. They have no clue where food really comes from. So let's go back to yesteryear. Let's come back and that potato salad that you eat today is not the potato salad we ate 73 years ago. You know, that fried chicken you're eating today is not the fried chicken we ate in my day. It's not even the same chicken, because now everything's boneless. All our chickens had bones. I don't know where you buy boneless chickens and see them on the yard.
I don't know. That'd be a pretty funny sight. I wouldn't want to eat that chicken.
So that's what the channel's about, is stepping back year.
What's it called?
Country Cooking with Twerking Monkey.
Country Cooking with Twerking Monkey. Y'all go check it out. if somebody, Chad, if you don't mind looking it up and sharing it for everybody before we get out of here, I'm interested in seeing that. And Pop, I look forward to your critique. Next weekend is my first catch and cook video I've ever done, and I hadn't done another one, but I did it a while ago, but it's just coming up in my queue. And tell me what you think about it. Tell me what I can do better. All right.
All right, we'll do it.
Well, guys, thank you.
Never want to get my channel out.
Say it again.
I said I want you to do the same with my channel.
Oh, I will. I'm just like you guys. I try to watch everybody, and give everybody support that I can. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll all support each other. Well, guys, I'm gonna pray us out, and we're gonna call it an evening.
Yes, sir.
Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the opportunity to come here together in fellowship. And Lord, we just thank you for men like Kevin and Bud, Lord, that they would share their love of fishing and family and friends with everyone and not be ashamed of who they are and where they come from, Lord. And they share that love for each other with everybody. And they show us what a true father-son relationship should look like. And Lord, we just thank you that we live in a country where we can do these sort of things, that we can have these conversations and not be worried about what might happen to us if we share our opinions, Lord. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this platform. We thank you for all you do for us. We just ask you to continue to bless those that are in here tonight. And Lord, personally, I'm thankful for everything, from the smallest YouTuber with 1 subscriber all the way up to the one with 1 million, Lord. I'm thankful for everybody and for what everybody does to support each other in this community. And I give it all up to you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, fellas. Well, there's the link. Everybody in chat, go click on it, go sub. And from what I hear, Kevin and Papa already got footage they're putting together, and we're going to see that first video soon. So, y'all,
Sir.
Until next time, everybody, next weekend, we have River Certified on Sunday night. Mr. Spencer Bauer from all the way across the country in Iowa. If you haven't checked out his channel, go check it out so that you can see what kind of stuff he puts out. Catches some giant flatheads from some little creeks, kind of like Chris Flores does. So go check him out and continue to support Kevin and Bud and get them up there, get the watch hours up for them. Help them get those watch hours. All right, everybody, until next time, happy fishing.
See y'all later.